Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lion's Den Show. And here's your host, Cody Robert Judy.
Hello and welcome to the Lion's Den Show. I'm your host and your toast, Cody Robert Judy. This is the first show of our brand new year, 2011. Isn't it wonderful that we can start a new year and in some sense leave the old one behind in our history? So I'll say, hey, Happy New Year! Today we're going to focus our attention on the qualifications outlined in our Constitution for our leaders in our United States government, including Congress, which has two parts, the House and the Senate, known as our legislative branch, and then the executive branch of our government, which leads through the office of President of the United States. Many people have heard through the grapevine, news, or school, or workplace about Barack Hussein Obama not being qualified because he's not a natural-born citizen, which is one of the Constitution's qualifications. Demands for being President of the United States. Not too many people even know what a natural-born citizen is. A natural-born citizen is kind of one of those misnomer catchphrases that people try to say and then figure without very much success. The same thing happens when people like referring to the House, and you get confused and not understanding if they're talking about your house or the House of Congress. The same thing happens when I say BOM or bomb, I mean the Book of Mormon, and someone who's playing war saying BOMB or bomb means some kind of explosive device. I went to prison for 8 years for that, so that's done and paid for. Hopefully I've saved a few BYU students from a painful incarceration with that reference in the seminary class. Sometimes the government doesn't even know what you're talking about, but they pretend they do because they like sometimes to play God, all-knowing and all-seeing. But sometimes they're blind and dumb like piggies when they're first born. All they know how to do is root for teats and teats that have treats. One member of the House was pretty good at rooting in the House. She just lost her job as Speaker of the House. Yes, none other than Congressman Nancy Pelosi. She's a little piggy who now is going wee wee wee. Speaking of teats that have treats, I've tried to get my colleague and friend on YouTube, HotForWords, to do one of our shows on natural-born citizens because she is, well, hot for words. And she is a teacher that has quite large enrollment in her class. Maybe with some more encouragement, she would consent. So I encourage you all to send a note to the teacher, Hot for Words, to help us all in her very unusual and enlightening way, of which I can in no way compete. First, let's start out with the part of Congress we call the House. This is, of course, represents something more than a plain house or any kind of house which people live in. It represents a body of men and women who are elected for 2-year terms by their districts, made up with the number of people equally divided within the state. So we call them representatives. They're chosen every second year, so they're in constant campaign mode. To be eligible for a representative, you must be at least 25 years of age, which is capitalized, and been a citizen for 7 years. And they must be an inhabitant of the state which they are elected. Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution says, "No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years, and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, been an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen." Now, to all members of the House, I'd like to just ask them if it's okay if we let the seniors out of high school go ahead and try out even though they're not 25 years old, and Let's say they just got their immigration papers and social security card and they've only been a citizen of the United States for, 24 hours. But everyone really likes the guy. Would it be okay to go ahead and let the Constitution slide? Most representatives would tell you no. It is their duty and sworn oath to defend the Constitution, and the people who elected them depend upon them to do that. I was actually impressed that the new Speaker of the House, John Boehner, a Republican, felt so inclined to have the Constitution read at the beginning of the new session of Congress. But there was a little disruption to that, if you haven't heard. We'll get to that later. Now let's move on to the United States Senators that represent the other part of Congress called the U.S. Senate. We find out in Article 1, Section 3 that 2 U.S. Senators from each of the 50 states are chosen. Doesn't matter how big the state is in the population or geography. Every state gets 2 United States Senators. While we're talking about United States, do you know the states would be if they were not the United States? We would be like most other countries, having many, many different countries, because every state would probably be its own country. Did you know that just the state of Utah is as big as all of England is? Just to give you a little idea of the geography there. So we wouldn't be the United States, we'd be like 50 Englands or 50 Israels or 50 Iraqs. The United States Constitution is the document that binds our states together. That's pretty special, don't you think? So, is our Constitution important? Do you think it's important to recognize that document as mighty impressive? You know, it takes 2/3 of the states and their representative to change the Constitution. It's a difficult thing to change because it was very difficult. It was a very difficult thing to hammer out and get everyone to agree on. What if one person could change the Constitution? Do you think it would have lasted? Probably not, huh? If one person could change it, it wouldn't be fair to the rest of us who voted to support it and have fought for it and bled for it and paid for it over 235 years. What do you mean pay for it? Are you paying for it? Oh yes you are. Every time you fill out your car up for gas, you pay some federal tax. Every time federal tax is taken out of your hard-earned check, what are you paying for? So in a way, your fortunes are going to support and defend the Constitution, and our Army and Navy, our Air Force, our Marines, our Special Forces. They're all paid for with federal tax to protect us in the United States that is kept united by the Constitution. That is why a special oath is administered to everyone in the services, a sworn oath to defend the United States Constitution. And all of our representatives in the House and the Senate, they swear an oath to that document too. Now in the U.S. Senate we find in Article 1, Section 3, Paragraph 4 that states, "No person shall be a senator who shall have not attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state which he shall be chosen." In all seriousness, do you think the Senate should just abandon these rules? Let's just forget about them. You know, the House of Representatives can run when they're 25. Why does the Senate choose the age of 30? What if you're 23 and really mature for your age? Is that okay? And while we're at it, why do you have to be 18 to vote? I mean, if you can drive when you're 16 and operate a 165 horsepower Mustang, the only thing you can vote? Well, I'm being a little facetious here and dramatic. The point is, what right does Congress have to ignore the fact that Obama is not a natural-born citizen and expect any respect from we the people? Does Congress have our respect? Well, why was Teresa Chow out of line when Representative Frank Pallone was reading the Constitution the other day in front of all of the congressmen and came upon clause Article 2, Section 1 of the United States Constitution, which demands the President be qualified with an explicit and unique qualification we don't see for U.S. representatives or U.S. senators. Article 2, Section 1 states, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained the age of 35 years and been 14 years resident within the United States. Little stiffer qualifications, and one Congress has for the last 2 years just abandoned blatantly. Did you hear me say blatantly? Yeah, they know. Now 14 years? Why not 7 like senators? Why not 5 like representatives? Why not a wildly popular teenage rock star who could sway the vote? Why does the term natural-born citizen appear only for the office of the president? Why does the term or a citizen, like it does for representative and senators at the time of the adoption of the Constitution, but after the adoption of the Constitution it defines differently than citizen and demands natural-born citizen, and it's only for the office of the president? Why, at the same time as the United States Constitution is being read in front of the majority Republican-dominated House, is their second item up for consideration not a bill of incapacitation or inability for Obama to discharge the powers and duties of said office declared in Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 9. Teresa Chow stood up and yelled, "Except for Obama," when the demands for the U.S. president were being read, and she was silenced, arrested, and given a court date. Why shouldn't the Congress be silenced, arrested, and given a court date? Because they are reading the Constitution but ignoring it by we the people. Blatant treason, I say. Treason! Treason! Let the cry be heard from sea to shining sea. They are treasonous pigs. Rooting for your money, they have sold their soul to the seed of Satan. And what they are doing is an evil, a crime against we the people. They have the Columbia-Obama sedition and treason trial transcripts right in front of them and choose to ignore the testimony and the verdict of the Constitution. Do they have your respect? Do they have your honor? Do they have the concept of law in their shafts when they arrest Teresa Chow for a violation of their House rules, but totally ignore the supreme law of we the people in the United States Constitution? They swore an oath to. These, my friends, are not lawmakers, they're lawbreakers. And until they choose to grow a pair of balls worthy of their leadership, they are fit for no such title to what they have been elected. Now, there is one reason I'm also damn mad about this. Obama and McCain ran for president in 2008 were not qualified to run. We the people, those two men owe me my time and money. I ran as a qualified candidate and spent my time and my money on running respectably according to we the people. They are thieves and liars who robbed me and have defrauded the whole United States, yet you respect them. You respect liars and thieves as leaders? What's that, tradition mostly? How would you feel about me if I came into your house, robbed you about $5,000, and then left a note that said, "Please honor and respect me for doing this to you"? And I signed it with my name and my address on it and said I was blameless before God Almighty. Yet no judge would say I did wrong to you. Clear up to the U.S. Supreme Court justices. Would you have any respect or honor for me? Well, that's what happened. And when it happened, they forgot to respect our children's future, the tradition and honor of our United States Constitution.